Welcome to the Paul Lovette Show. Today we're going to conclude our two-part series on Governor Newsom's 2025 immigration speech of fear and incitement. But first, I want to play a video of the border czar, Tom Homan, describing Governor Newsom's abject failure in responding to the riots of the past weekend.
How this riot started is that ICE was serving a series of criminal warrants at a business being investigated for money laundering, customs fraud, and serious violations on sending money to criminal cartels that in Colombia and Mexico that fund criminal cartel activities in the United States. It's a part of an overall conspiracy that ICE is investigating. So we were arresting bad people. We were enforcing laws and following up on a serious criminal investigation on cartel financing.
Wow. And now back to the governor's train wreck speech.
Authoritarian regimes begin by targeting people who are least able to defend themselves, but they do not stop there. Trump and his loyalists, they thrive on division because it allows them to take more power and exert even more control. And by the way, Trump, he's not opposed to lawlessness and violence as long as it serves him.
How can the governor of a state just make such an outrageous, baseless claim about the president? And anyone that in a position of authority to just make a baseless, flat out, bald-faced lie about the president's motives and intention is just entirely shameful. And this man wants to be your president starting in 2028.
What more evidence do we need than January 6th? I ask everyone, take time, reflect on this perilous moment. A president who wants to be bound by no law or constitution, perpetuating a unified assault on American traditions. This is a president who in just over 140 days has fired government watchdogs that could hold him accountable for corruption and fraud. He's declared a war on culture, on history, on science, on knowledge itself. Databases, quite literally, are vanishing.
I have no idea what he's talking about here, databases disappearing. And all this thing through here, what he's saying is just a lowbrow attack on the president. There's no attack on democracy, and there is plenty of controls. The president is operating within the Constitution. He's operating within his Article 2 powers given to him by the Constitution.
He's delegitimizing news organizations, and he's assaulting the First Amendment.
And to bring up the news, how do you delegitimize our mainstream media with what we've witnessed over the past 4 to 8 years with all the inaccuracies that they call conspiracy theories, of which almost all of the conspiracy theories have turned out to be true in hindsight?
The threat of defunding them. At threat, he's dictating what universities themselves can teach. He's targeting law firms and the judicial branch.
Governor, tell me, how is he dictating what the universities are teaching? I haven't even heard that in the mainstream media. Now, Harvard's getting their butts kicked because they are allowing anti-Semitic protests on their campus, and their recent problems are because they're not responsive to the president's or the administration's request about how they are responding to executive orders, and like related to DEI, or how they're protecting students, particularly Jewish students on their campuses, and we're not going to listen, we're not going to respond. So of course there will be, and there has been, consequences for them not responding.
That are the foundations of an orderly and civil society. He's calling for a sitting governor to be arrested for no other reason than to, in his own words, for getting elected.
This whole the whole issue of Newsom being arrested is all a lie, basically. And I'm going to show you. I will stick in here the video of Tom Homan, the borders are, and he specifically addresses this issue. And the question was, if could Newsom and Bass be arrested? And Holman said, no one is above the law. If you cross the line, you can be arrested. And specifically said farther on was, well, in the reflection on this, there was never a discussion about moving on to arrest Newsom. If he goes over the line, just like you and I, if we cross the line, we could be arrested. So this BS about calling for a sitting governor to be arrested is just BS. We know while the president would like to see that, the president is not calling for that. That was generated by the media and Newsom here, who wants to mislead you and misguide you and get you to react emotionally.
They cross the line and commit a crime? Absolutely they can. So there was no discussion about arresting Newsom. And so, what he's done, he's failed that state. He waited 2 days of that city burning and people getting hurt, officers being assaulted before he made any declaration of an unlawful assembly. He's late to the game.
And we all know this Saturday, he's ordering our American heroes, the United States military, and forcing them to put on a vulgar display to celebrate his birthday.
This here is clearly, hopefully YouTube is okay, because this is clearly, and I'm going to show you that this is just a bald-faced lie on his part. He's saying, he just said to you, the president is forcing the military to do this parade for his, President Trump's, birthday. That is a clear lie. Let me bring up the receipt for you. So we see here, and here's truth. The United States of America, to honor the 250th anniversary of the U.S. Army with the grand military parade and celebration in Washington, D.C. Bam. That's it, Governor. Why? Wow. Shameful, Governor.
Just as other failed dictators have done in the past. Look, this isn't just about protests here in Los Angeles. When Donald Trump sought blanket authority to commandeer the National Guard, he made that order apply to every state in this nation.
So, Governor, of course it would apply to every state in the nation. It's in the U.S. Code, which I've shown you multiple times here. The code itself. He didn't take any special action or anything. This is a president that is being proactive. He's been, he's carrying out a mission for the people. Everything he's done, he's put forward to the people before election, and we still elected him. The Newsom here, once again, is misleading people. Bald face. The president hasn't done anything. The authority he uses is already in our Constitution, as we see in 10 United States Code.
This is about all of us. This is about you. California may be first, but it clearly will not end here. Other states are next. Democracy is next.
How can he say this? It's just demagoguery. He is just stirring up people's emotion, getting people into hysterics. And I would probably even go far as to say that he is trying to incite people into responding emotionally. And without saying it, what kind of terrible things can come out of this incitement by fear that the governor is using here. It really is disgusting and shameful for a man in the position he's in.
Democracy is under assault before our eyes. This moment we have feared has arrived. He's taking a wrecking ball to our founding fathers' historic project. 3, co-equal branches of independent government. There are no longer any checks and balances. Congress is nowhere to be found. Speaker Johnson has completely abdicated that responsibility.
Yes, we have 3 co-equal branches, and the problem is the judicial branch is trying to overrule the executive branch. The executive branch is Article 2. Judiciary is Article 3. Just by sheer order, we can deduce that the Founding Fathers' priority was 1, Congress in Article 1, 2, the President in Article 2, and then 3, the judiciary. The President isn't expanding beyond his authority. It is the judiciary in Article 3 that's reaching over, trying to control Article 2, when Article 2 is simply the president's trying to do his job. So Speaker Johnson is doing one heck of a job at implementing the people's agenda. The people put the president in office with knowing what the president had intended. Speaker Johnson is trying to execute that mission. So I commend Johnson for what he's doing.
The rule of law has increasingly been given way to the rule of Don. The Founding Fathers, they didn't live and die to see this kind of moment. It's time for all of us to stand up. Justice Brandeis, he said it best. In a democracy, the most important office, with all due respect, Mr. President, is not the presidency, and it's certainly not governor. The most important office is office of citizen. At this moment, we all need to stand up and be held to account, a higher level of accountability. If you exercise your First Amendment rights, please do it peacefully. I know many of you are feeling deep anxiety, stress, and fear, but I want you to know.
Stress, anxiety, and fear after hearing this speech, yes, it would be through the roof if you don't know what the reality is. If you're just listening to what the mainstream media is telling you, along with what Newsom has spewed this last 8 to 10 minutes, yeah, stress and anxiety will ensue.
That you are the antidote to that fear and that anxiety. What Donald Trump wants most is your fealty, your silence to be complicit in this moment. Do not give in to him. Wow.
Simply amazing that someone of his caliber that was 8 minutes of propaganda, pure fear-mongering, pure incitement through fear that the governor has just given us. Sorry. I just cannot believe the man running our state just did what he just did. It's just a personal, slanderous attack upon the president. And all this is for political show, political theater, and he's just trying to pave the way for him to be the Democrat presidential nominee in 2028. So just remember that. And I will insert into this episode the videos from the border czar Tom Homan that will clearly state what ISIS agenda and purpose was in the raids they did this past weekend and last week. And Newsom, you really should resign after this speech, because this was just shameful no matter how you look at it. The demagoguery, the inciting fear and uncertainty in the people with this speech. There's no attack on democracy. The president isn't trying to create a dictatorship. I do believe Joe Biden and his Department of Justice were the very poster child of trying to create a dictatorship and authoritarianship. So once again, I'd like to thank you for joining me today. And this is the Paul Lovette Show. And before we go, remember to like this episode, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification button. And of course, continue the conversation in the comments below.